The M5Stack Cardputer Zero just dropped on Kickstarter and the hype is massive, but unless you want to wait months for it to ship, you're completely out of luck. So I wanted to show you how to bypass the line and build your very own mini dual screen Cyberdeck right now. It runs my favorite security tool, Porkchop, it fits in your pocket, and the entire hardware setup costs less than $50. By hacking together a cheap external display and using Claude AI to write the bridge code that makes Porkchop work, I got this thing running epic custom graphics and animations on top without sacrificing any of the core tools. Today, we're gonna break down every single step to making your very own little Cardputer laptop. I've got all the files up on GitHub, I've got the 3D files, I've got everything you need, all right? Let's get at it. All right, so let's start off with what we need. This is the Cardputer Advanced. Right now we are running Porkchop already, but we're gonna be flashing this a bunch of times in the process to get it to work right. But yeah, Cardputer Advanced, this guy runs about 30 bucks, super easy. Over here we have our display. Now you'll notice this is a 2.8 inch, 240 by 320 touch panel running the ILI9341 drivers, and I got 2 of these for 20 bucks on Amazon. And you'll notice that I actually had to chop this down just a little bit to make it fit in the case. That's actually what you're supposed to do. It was kind of sketchy cutting this. I did cut it with a Dremel, and you want to wear some sort of breathing protection or do it outside or hold your breath or something, because I don't think you're supposed to breathe in this stuff. Now I did actually make kind of a wiring harness right here with some DuPont cables and some super glue. It's not too fancy, but it works pretty good. This is the glue I used, and I've always had problems with super glue getting kind of like cloudy and stuff, but I actually bought Activator, and my god, this stuff is amazing. I just kind of threw some glue on there, hit it with the Activator, and yeah, this thing is stuck together. So that makes life so much easier. This case I 3D printed on my Bamboo Lab H2C, and I've got this absolutely gorgeous radioactive green sparkle pet sheet with it prints amazing. So the way the case works is, let's actually turn this off just in case, plus I don't have that much battery, and these 2 screws on the back come right out, so we'll do that. Using an electric screwdriver on screws of this size is not recommended, but I am a renegade. Cool, don't lose the screws. Pop off the original back carefully. It's actually not very fragile. It's a really well-made device. So yeah, here's our battery. Move the back piece out of here because we don't need that. And then we're gonna grab our other back piece, pop this right on like that. Got the cutout for the audio jack right there. Kind of squish that in there. Fits real nice. And then yeah, we're just gonna use the original screws to screw this thing back in. I know that's crooked. Nope. There we go. Very careful, because that screw is, you can't see, but just about stripped. It's very close, but we survived. We'll throw in the second screw and then the back's attached. So let's move on to the screen. Now this is actually a updated, revised version of the screen that I was using last time, so I haven't tested this one yet, so we're hoping for the best. Editing Sasquatch here. This may be foreshadowing. Just gonna go ahead and pop this in here. Probably gonna fit reasonably snug like it did last time. In classic Squatch fashion, I actually realized that this case doesn't even fit correctly on here. So we're gonna use the original one I used, which is this guy. It's pretty much exactly the same thing, just a little different shaped, and this guy fits in here, I know. Struggled with this a little while. I didn't wanna sit there and break my screen, because if I break the screen, there's no video. That's gonna go in like that, and that goes in like that. Click, click, now we're in, everything fits, we're good. And there's a little extra piece, and that's gonna clip in right here. And then let's screw these 2 together. Just kind of sits like that, folds in half, very, very cute, works great. And then our big screw goes in this side. Why I chose to use the electric screwdriver on the short screws and the manual screwdriver on the long screws, I will never know, hello. But yeah, that took a while. And the other one, brilliant. And from there, we're just gonna hook up our wiring harness. Now I've posted the wiring diagrams that I followed right on the screen, and it's actually because I copied it directly from Andy AI Cardputer's video. Go check him out in the link down below. Leave a comment, tell him Squatch sent you. So this guy goes in like this, and let's see if we get everything to line up again. All right, beautiful, perfect. And then this one goes in like this, and we do have to open this up a little bit to get it, but it should be fine. And then that's it. That's all you got to do. The wiring is a little bit, just make sure you follow a wiring diagram, but it's not actually all that hard. Now, before we use AI to write the code that makes this little Cyberdeck tick, we need to talk about how AI is completely shifting the landscape of cybersecurity itself, which brings us to today's sponsor. Try Hack Me. AI security is one of the fastest growing fields in cyber right now, but it's always been gatekept behind expensive, theory-heavy exams. Try Hack Me is changing that with their brand new AI Security Level 1 certification, or AI1. This isn't just some corporate management badge where you memorize policies. It's a 100% hands-on practitioner certification designed to prove you can actually attack and defend real AI infrastructure. The bundle gives you 3 months of Try Hack Me Premium to clear 25 interactive labs split across 5 core modules. You'll be getting your hands dirty with prompt security, secure architecture, supply chain vulnerabilities, and data poisoning. You'll learn exactly how to map out an AI attack surface, bypass content filters, and audit pre-tainted modules for hidden backdoors. And the best part? It runs entirely inside your browser, so you don't have to configure complex local machine learning environments or buy a crazy expensive GPU to get started. When you're ready to validate those skills, you tackle a 48-hour exam. There is zero multiple choice here. It features 13 real-world scenarios where you execute live attacks and design defensive controls. You get instant grading on the technical components, and they even throw in a free retake just in case you don't pass on your first try. Head on over to tryhackme.com/SASQAI1 and use code SASQAI1 to save 30% off the complete launch package. Hit the link down below and grab your bundle. All right, let's get back at it. So the first thing I did is I literally just asked it exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a 2.8-inch LCD screen work on the Cardputer Advanced using this method and using the Porkchop firmware. Can you do this for me? So it's like, okay, yeah, sure. I can't do this because I can't put the actual device together. No kidding, I know, but we built this. It's right here, we did that. So we don't need Claude for that. So the first thing it gave me is just a really quick and easy little test thing. So let's test A or B, and yeah, it says I can make the hardware. I'm following the wiring diagram. Let's start with the guides approach and we can go from there. So sure, going through and set a bunch of stuff right there, and then boom, now we have some files. So if we download all of these, throw them right on the desktop, we'll extract those. And then we're going to open up Visual Studio Code because Visual Studio Code has PlatformIO. You've got that installed right here. That's what the little guy over there is. Go ahead and, oh, forgot to do this. You're going to want to plug this thing in with my LTT True Spec cable. Not a flex, but yeah, I've got a 6-foot A to C. Pretty cool. Pick a folder, and then we're going to go into our desktop, into our files, and then just select the folder that has the platform.ini file. So platform.ini is in there, and then just select folder, and this should start to populate. So here's our little script right here. So we're initializing core, everything takes a second. So one thing I always like to do is change unclicked auto, because auto can do some really weird stuff when it comes to picking ports. So if we unplug this and then click that again, we'll notice that COM18 disappeared. We'll plug it back in, and then COM18. So we know it's COM18. I don't want to overwrite anything else that happens to be plugged into my computer. So let's go ahead and just run this. So we'll click the little arrow down here, which means build and then upload, and then let's see what happens. Now, what was interesting is the first time I ran this, I actually ran into a bunch of errors. I had to delete an entire PlatformIO folder, but what was cool is that Claude actually helped me out, and it told me exactly what was going on and exactly how to fix it just by screenshotting the errors. And that's how I went through this entire project. Hey, and just like that, it actually went ahead and now it's flashing, so it got past the build stage. Very cool. And look at that, we've got stuff on the screen. This is what I love about projects like this. You spend all this time and you kind of scratch your head, and sometimes you get to a point where you're like, I can't figure it out. And then bam, it works. Now, one thing I didn't realize that was going on is that it didn't just make a test image, it actually made a test configuration, because I can press this button and it's gonna rotate until it figures out which direction everything is right. Rotation number 7. So now we know that rotation number 7 is actually working. So once we figure that out, it says rotation 7 looks right. It says awesome, so it figured out that the RGB order is good and the rotation. So this means everything's good to go from there. So once we got to that point, we just gave it Porkchop and said, hey, can you make Porkchop work on this? And it's like, sure, no problem. It figured out the GPIO pins and stuff for me, and it wanted to know whether or not I was using the LoRa hat for this thing. Obviously, we're using the GPIO pins already, so we're not using a GPS hat. It was just curious, so we didn't do that. Scroll down, it's doing some code. It's doing all of its code stuff. And then, bam, okay, cool. So it gave me some files, and I'm like, can you just give me a zip file because I'm dumb and I'll mess it up? And there's like, sure, why not? Download M5 Porkchop accessory clone. So then all we have to do from there is hop back into PlatformIO, let this initialize, and we can do the exact same thing we did before. Pick a folder, gonna go to our desktop, and this is Porkchop main. And yeah, pick the main folder. It'll find the platform.ini file, and this should be, yeah, good to go. Wait for the core to initialize, and we'll flash this and see if it works. I love iterating on stuff like this because every time you run into a success, like getting the screen to work, that means you can go through and try another iteration, try something else. It's so much fun. Now, I do want to point out, at this point, I had no idea if any of this was going to work, if it was even possible to make something like Porkchop work with dual screen. So we were just kind of messing around and seeing what happened. But as soon as I saw this screen turn on, I was elated. Bam, every time I see this screen, when it starts to go to actually writing, I am so thrilled about it. I'm so thrilled. So let's see, we're flashing. Let's see if anything works. Resetting with RTS pin, and oh my god, it's oink, oink, oink. So we've got Porkchop back on here, but does the screen work? Oh, okay, yeah. So, boom, we've got it working on this screen. Super freaking cool. Now, you'll notice that this screen and this screen are mirroring perfectly. It's doing exactly what I asked it to do. But it's a little small. So, you know, we get to iterate. We can iterate again. So let's hop back over to Claude and we can do some more iterations. What's funny is I'm actually just taking pictures of screenshots and sending it directly into Claude, being like, okay, that worked pretty well. I have an idea. Can we make Porkchop take up the full screen and then the Cardputer have the menu? So I was like, okay, this is a great idea. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and you can see it goes all over that. It asks some questions. How do you want the scaling to look? Or, you know, how do you want the menu to look? So went through, figured out exactly what we want to do. And then, yeah, we've got our dual screen again. Hit download, and we'll do the same thing that we've been doing over and over again. Hey, there we go. That looks a little better. We got the screens bigger. Let's see if the menu thing worked. Hit escape. Yeah, we've got the menu down there. But, oh, it pauses that. So now the menu works. So the menu shows on the bottom screen, but the top screen actually stops. What if we exit out of the menu? Yeah, so then it puts it back in. So let's go ahead. Okay, we can deal with this. I said the screen render is great. It fills the screen well, but the only problem is that when you go into the menu, it stops animating. Not sure if that's even fixable. And he's like, yep, I already kind of told you about that, but you didn't read because you were scrolling too fast. And yeah, we'll go through and we'll go ahead and fix that. But then I said, you know what? Let's skip this. Let's put matrix code on the negative space on the top and the bottom. And it's like, oh, that's a fun one. So let's give it a try. Then it clarified, do I want to keep the full content or the bars? And I'm like, yep, keep full content, do slim bars, no problem right there. And just like that, we have our firmware. So let's go ahead and compile that and see what that looks like. All right, buddy. Boom. Now we've got matrix code. Super freaking cool. Now I went back and forth, doing this over and over again. And finally we got it to work. Well, let me show you what I finally ended up with because we made some cool stuff. I had to bring the exposure down just a little bit, but yeah, this is it. Now we've got the menu that works. So if we hit escape, it actually loads the menu down there. We can move things around. It works fantastic. Very, very cool. Close that. And then we go back to the top. We all work. The other thing that I did was I didn't just make one thing, because yeah, we could do blank bars and just be okay, or we could do matrix and be okay too, but I took it further. If we move over from the matrix code, then we have our network scanner. So this actually scans all of my networks on my test environment, and it will show them on the top and bottom. It's pretty cool. I do have to blur stuff out for my own privacy, but that's fine. Then we press over again, and this is a channel analyzer. So what this is actually doing, it's going through every one of the 13 channels on the 2.4 gigahertz network, and it's showing with these bars about how active they are. It's very cool. I did add some more animations to it because I thought it was boring without them, but yeah, I think that came out pretty nifty. Move over again. Now we have this like kind of fire, almost like slimy vibe. Well, I'm not really sure, but I think it looks pretty fancy. Moving on over, we have kind of star fields. So we've got stars that are flying across the screen. Move over again. It's a little hard to see with the exposure, but that's like a really cool looking lava lamp style. Like if I drop the exposure even more, yeah, you can kind of see exactly what it looks like. We'll leave it really dark for a second. And then moving over again, we've got this really fun little like vapor wave thing. So we've got the sky up there and a car moving here. I thought about trying to get it to work with a tilt sensor, but I didn't really go that far. But yeah, that's what this came up with. So with a little bit of monkeying around with Claude, I was able to make this entire thing work. And now this is $50. $50, you can make it yourself. It's not hard to get the parts. Everything's linked down below. So if you want one of these, you can have one. It's super freaking easy. The 3D files will be marked down below. I'll have a GitHub with the firmware on it already, so you don't have to compile it yourself. But it just goes to show, even if there is a piece of firmware that you want to make work with a screen, with a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of monkeying around with AI, Claude was able to figure this all out in one night. I did this all last night, and today, Sunday, we're doing a video on it. So whatever you want to say about it, I think it's pretty cool. That's how you make your very own Cardputer, advanced little laptop, Cyberdeck, whatever you want to call it. It couldn't be easier. It's such a great project. It's so much fun. And I know there's a lot of hype and a lot of news about AI and stuff, but I think using it in this way is a pretty reasonable way to use it. I'm not trying to steal anybody's work. I'm just trying to combine two ideas together to make something truly cool. All right, thank you so much for watching. I feel like it's been so long since I did a real project tutorial. Here, learn how to do this with me kind of video, so I had so much fun. I actually totally forgot about this too. It's so cool. So thanks for watching this long. You get a free little bonus. This is actually set up now with the Lab 5 Monster C5. So that's a C5 with a GPS inside there as well with an antenna. So this thing, because it's all just Lego pieces, it all clips together, it couldn't be easier. Look at that. See, the little Lego bots. I love this so much. The Lego pins are amazing. So yeah, even more cool stuff you can do with the Cardputer Advance. If you don't have one of these devices yet, definitely get one. They are absolutely amazing. Are there any other projects you want to see me do? Hit me up down in the comments down below. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. You guys are absolute legends. We'll catch you next time.